Hello, you are most welcome. I'm teacher Ivan, a teacher of mathematics and physics at Angel High School, Namasuba. Also working with the WUNA Educational Services. We are here for our video lessons, and today we are looking at the O-level physics, and we shall start with the measurements in physics. Measurements is a chapter from mechanics and the properties of matter. Under measurements, we shall look at the estimation, we shall look at the real life situations where we apply estimation, we shall look at the good and bad of estimation, and how we estimate various quantities. However, before we start on that, let us look at what measurement is. Measurement is simply defined as a technique in which the properties of matter are determined by comparing them to a standard. That is measurement. And during measurements, we use equipments or instruments to do the measurements, and that gives us the accurate values of a quantity. However, we can also tell a rough value of a quantity without measuring using an instrument, and in that way we shall use estimation. And therefore, estimation is another part of how we can determine the value of a physical quantity without measuring. And therefore, estimation is defined as the use of prior knowledge and sound physical reasoning to state a rough idea of a quantity value. For instance, if you know who teacher Ivan is, you can use the knowledge you know about him to give a rough estimate or a rough value of his age. That is what we call estimation. Estimation has been used since in our real life experiences. For instance, at home, when the mothers are cooking, they don't measure the salt using an instrument, but they estimate the amount of salt to put in the sauce. When you are traveling, maybe you have a tour, normally the driver will estimate the amount of fuel you will use, and so many others. Those who do betting, they normally estimate using the prior knowledge they have about the teams. So they use that knowledge to estimate which team will win and by how many. So those are some of the real life experiences that involve estimation. Now, since it is normally used, that means that there is disadvantage of estimation. One of them is that it saves time. Since it does not require you to get an instrument and measure, so it saves time. Two, it also builds confidence. As you estimate and get it right, you gain confidence. However, it also has disadvantages, because sometimes, or in most cases, it will give you wrong values. And if someone estimates more than 2 times and he does not get it right, he will lose confidence instead. So it may also lead to loss of confidence in oneself. Those are some of the advantages and disadvantages of estimation. Now, let us look at how we estimate various quantities. However, before we look at how we estimate various quantities, let us look at what a physical quantity is. A physical quantity is anything that can be accurately measured, and it is represented by a magnitude and a unit. For instance, my age is a physical quantity. And when someone asks me, how old are you? I would say, I'm 40 years old. So 40 is the magnitude, years is the unit. And therefore, just like we all have the surname and the first name, quantities also have two parts, the magnitude or the size and the unit. Physical quantities are categorized into two. We have what we call fundamental or basic quantities. Then we also have derived quantities. However, we shall go deep into what they are when we reach that point. For now, let us go back on how we can estimate various quantities. Like the amount of salt, you can estimate maybe by pouring some portion in your hand. We can also estimate the volume using a cup. You normally hear people saying that 1 cup of milk is a half liter. But the cup is not calibrated to measure the volume. So that's one way of estimating the volume of a liquid using cups. We can also use the strides in case of length. If I want to measure the length of my classroom, I may use strides, because strides are not the instruments for measuring length, but I can estimate using strides. So that is all about estimation. So in our next video, we shall be looking at physical quantities into details. We shall look at what they are, the types, the examples, and how we measure each. Otherwise, I'm teacher Ivan from Wuna Educational Services, a teacher of math and physics at Angel High School. See you next time. Bye-bye.